8 essential and practical tips for a better driving experience here in Italy. These 8 tips, as well as many others, are thoroughly covered in a really cool new video course that I've recently discovered by a company called Tripiamo. Who is Tripiamo? In essence, it's a short but thorough video course, and I think it's ideal for anybody who has never driven to this country and would like a complete rundown of everything that you need to know here. Honestly, I think one of the coolest things about this course, and I would buy it just for that, are the videos where they're driving and you have a 360-degree view of everything that's going on around you. It's like you're driving right here in Italy. I think that's fantastic. Link in the description if you're curious. Let's get into our 8 tips. Iniziamo. Okay, so our first one is a topic that is rather infamous here in Italy, and that is aggressive drivers. Let's face it, in this country there is no shortage of aggressive drivers. And the video course taught me something which is common sense, but when I heard it, I thought, oh yeah. If you choose to drive in Italy, I can guarantee you that at some point you will be in a situation where you are among aggressive drivers. Your brain might be telling you, oh, I think I have to drive that same way. No, don't. Come on, David, you're oversimplifying it. Yes, I am a little bit, but it really does make sense. You know, when you're among these kind of drivers, you really just need to use common sense and don't put other people's lives at risk. This next tip is super helpful, and I'm very glad that Tripiamo covered it in the video course, but this is called the destra occupata. What it means is this. It means that when you have oncoming traffic from the right side, and quite simply, it's really self-explanatory. When you are in a situation and you aren't really sure who has the right of way, always look to your right, and if you see oncoming traffic, then you need to stop and let them come by, unless there's a triangle on the ground. When you see that, this means that the traffic coming from the right, they need to yield to you. So do be on the lookout for any kind of triangle on the right side. If, however, you're driving on a main road and there's a car which wants to go onto the road that you're driving and they're coming from a side road on the right, then no, this is the same as North America. You have the right of way and they have to wait. The next one is don't focus on what's going on behind you. Yeah, this tip is actually closely related to our previous tip. But what that means is that when you see drivers behind you who might not be driving in a safe way, so to speak, don't pay attention to them. No, not at all. Just focus directly ahead of you and concentrate on what's going on there. For example, if you notice that the person behind you is trying to pass you on the right and they're trying to cut right in front of you, don't pay attention to this person. I mean, that's really their problem because they shouldn't be passing on the right anyway. Not here or also in North America. This is especially true if you happen to find somebody who is tailgating behind you. Honestly, fregatene. It's that simple. Okay, obviously you want to check your rear view mirrors. This is just common sense in driving. However, here's a situation where you might want to look in your rear view mirror more than once. So let's suppose that you're on a multiple lane road, highway, and you want to go into the lane to the right of you. If you notice that behind you and in that lane there's a guy who's fast approaching, you might want to think twice about cutting in that lane all of a sudden because obviously, and this is just common sense, you might cause an accident or just big problems. Which drivers are the most fun to deal with? Stick around and I'll get to that in just a minute. This next one is something which could possibly be misunderstood, and it's also closely related to what I was saying before about somebody who is traveling closely behind you. This is when they begin blinking their lights. Personally, this is something that I've never liked and I don't do. However, the most important thing to keep in mind is that usually this is not really a form of aggression. This could be somebody who has an emergency and they need you to get out of their way because they have to go to the hospital. You never know. This does happen on the streets here in Rome. However, it's something that you're going to see more on the highway, especially if you're going at a turtle pace in the fast lane. Next we have rotaries. Get used to them. The most important thing to remember is that when you approach the rotary, you have to stop and you have to give right of way to the cars that are already in the rotary. If you're new to rotaries or if you just don't feel very sure about driving in them, don't worry, this course thoroughly covers that aspect of driving. The video course did in fact mention something that I didn't know. Before the year 2000, it used to be that people that were coming into the rotary had the right of way. Personally, I've never really seen this confusion, and generally in Italy, whenever you approach a rotary, the general population does seem to understand that you need to wait and give precedence to the people that are already in the rotary. But if you have some confusion, it might be from somebody who is used to that old system. You never know. How to avoid turning your car into a bad science experiment or a catastrophe. Do make sure that you understand if your car is diesel or if it's just regular unleaded. And the words for that are these: gasolio, which does not mean gasoline, it means diesel actually. And the other one is benzina. Can you drive stick? That might be necessary in this country, or maybe not. I must say, automatic transmissions are becoming more and more popular in this country. My car actually is. It does have an automatic transmission. However, if you are going to rent a car in this country, then do make sure that you specify that you want an automatic transmission if you can't drive standard. This next one, unfortunately, is something which has happened to me in this country as well, and these are fines. One thing I didn't know about fines is that if you happen to catch one here in Italy, it may take for up to a year for the fine to arrive at your house in the United States, for example. I can't really confirm or deny that, but what I can tell you is that fines do arrive in the United States. This actually did happen to me about 5 or 6 years ago. It happened right here, actually. As a matter of fact, I'm receiving another fine, so I'm getting out of here. The course definitely does explain how to avoid fines, especially if you find yourself in the ZTL areas, which means zona traffico limitato. In other words, limited traffic. ZTL, God, these are so annoying. Fortunately, I've never gotten a fine by entering them when I'm not supposed to. But the most important thing to remember is that when it says non attiva, then this means that you can go in there. If you don't see the word non, then you can't. So, David, these fines, exactly how much are we talking about? I'll put it to you this way. The cost of a fine is actually a lot more than the cost of the Tripiamo course. It really is. Bonus tip. So, what category of driver do I find the funnest to deal with? They're all fun, to be honest. All kidding aside, however, Italy does have every different type of driver. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Passive, aggressive, crazy. They got it, like any country. However, if I had to generalize a little bit, I would say that those that drive the luxury cars, the Audis, Mercedes, BMWs, from my own personal observations, I think that they tend to be a little bit more aggressive than the others. That's just my opinion. Second bonus tip. I think now we're at 10 tips in this video. Oh well. The video does mention something about tipping the person that pumps the gas for you. So here's my advice. Very often these people are foreigners. And I get the impression that these people live off of tips. So whenever I get gas, I always make sure that I give them €1, maximum 2. As a matter of fact, I give them 2 if they do extra. Because very often what they'll do is they'll clean your windshield, your mirrors, and I think that deserves a tip. Why not? I'm curious, what tips do you have for driving in Italy? Leave me a comment and I would love to hear from you. Link in the description below if you are interested in checking out the course by Tripiamo. And also if you are looking to rent a car in this country, do check out a recent video that I made that you're seeing on the screen right now. Grazie mille per l'attenzione, ci vediamo alla prossima. Thank you very much for watching, I appreciate your time and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.